Hello Adventure Kids and welcome back to another week. I hope you are all well. For those of you who started back at nursery or at school this week, I hope it was amazing. I hope you had a great time seeing all your friends. And for those of you who lives carried on, I hope you also had a great week. It's been a bit chilly this week, hasn't it? Not sure I'm a fan of that. Today we are learning all about the story of creation. We're learning all about how the beautiful world that we live in was created. In the beginning, at first there wasn't anything at all, nothing. So God set to work, but he didn't use his hands or a special machine. He spoke, that's all. He said, I'd like some light. And there was light. Brighter than a summer morning or 1,000 Christmas candles. God spoke again. He said, sky, I'd like some sky. And some water underneath, and sure enough, there it was, the bright blue sky with the dark blue heaven above it, and the blue-green sea below. That's what God said next, hard and firm as if he really meant it. And the blue-green waters parted, and there was dry land underneath. Great patches of it, dirt, brown and black, here and there, all over the world. We need some colour, God whispered, as if he was thinking out loud. And quivering with excitement, green growing things crept right out of the dark earth, then burst into blossom, red, orange, blue, pine trees and palm trees, rose bushes and blackberry bushes, tulips and daisies. God shouted next, day, shining sun, night, shining moon, bright shining stars. And there they were, for the morning and evening, summer and winter, time and heat and light. After that, God called to the sky, as if he were expecting some kind of answer. Come forth, flying things, he called. And through the clouds they came, flying high and low, flying large, flying small, eagles and insects, hummingbirds and hawks. Then God called to the sea, come forth, splashing things. And they came, leaping right through the waves, sailfish and swordfish, dolphins and trout, great grinning humpbacked whales. Finally, God called to the earth, come forth, walking things, crawling things, running, hopping, climbing things. And sure enough they came, up from the burrows, down from the trees, out from the high grass, across the open plains. Now everything was ready, good and ready. God spoke again. Man and woman, is what he said, calling the names of his very best friends. And out of the dust came Adam and Eve to enjoy all that God had made, to take care of it for him and to talk with him. This is the way things ought to be, God said at last. This is good. Can you see? So first he created the light and the dark and the waves and the land and the stars and the moon and the sun and then the animals, all the different animals, and then finally Adam and Eve. I don't know about you, but I think that is pretty cool that God spoke words and then things came into existence, that he spoke that he wanted to see all the different animals. I personally think he went, maybe let's add a bit of spots there and maybe some stripes on this animal, and he designed them, he created them in his imagination, and there enough he thought, a stripy animal with 4 legs and quite a long neck, a zebra. And then he thought maybe something a bit similar but maybe spotty, and then a giraffe happened, and I think that is pretty awesome. So I'm going to hand over to Rachel now, who is going to run through some activities that you and your grown-up could do.
Hi Adventure Kids, I hope you've had a fabulous summer with your families out enjoying the beautiful weather. I definitely did, and I've coloured my hair blue again. Anyway, today's story was about creation and all the wonderful things that God made in 7 days. Well, 6 really, because he rested on one, didn't he? So I thought what you might like to do is a picture of all the 7 things, and hopefully it might look something like this. So the things you'll need today, and I'm sorry for your mum and dad, but there are a lot of them. is a white piece of paper and a tin of tuna or pineapple or anything really. It doesn't matter what's in the tin. And then you'll need some pens as always, and perhaps some glue and some tape, and then some assorted things to stick on. So you could use some blue paper, or you could use some foil, and you might like to use some cotton balls and some feathers. And what else have we got here? Some leaves from outside, cupcake pans, some little tiny ones, and perhaps a nice lolly stick or a spoon from an ice cream. So what are we going to do with all these things? First of all, you need to take the tin and put it on the paper and trace around it 6 times. So you'll end up with 6 circles on your paper. Then in each of the circles you are going to put something to represent the day of creation. So in this circle here you just colour half of it in a dark colour, and that represents night and day. And then on day 2 of creation, God created the land and the sea, so we're going to use our blue paper to make some sea, and then use the cotton wool to make some clouds. So on day 3, God made plants. So I used a case and some leaves to make a flower, but you could use just some leaves to make a tree, or you could draw a picture. Then on day 4, he made the sun and the moon and the stars. Now I was lucky because I had some shiny stars, or you could just use little bits of silver foil. On day 5, he made the fish and the birds. So I found some feathers outside, or from one of my cat's toys perhaps, and I made a bird with some feathers. For day 6 was when he made people and animals, and so I've used a stick from an ice cream cup, or you could use a nice lolly stick to be my body, and then I've drawn a picture of me when I had my brand new coloured hair for day 6. And we haven't done day 7, have we? Because that's when God rested after all that creation. So you could end up with a lovely picture like that, or nothing like that. You could draw them all yourself. What are some other things you might like to do to think about what God created? Well, you could go outside and have a scavenger hunt and see what things you can find and see that God has created. Or you might like to create a creation book, and you could have 7 pages in the book, and you could draw pictures on each of those pages about what God created on that day. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Back to Katie. Bye!
Amazing! How good were those activities? I hope you all create one of those pictures. Maybe you could get some stuff out of your garden that you find, and then you could stick it on those 6 circles. I think that'd be really cool. As always, we are going to run through 3 key points to do with our story. So, number 1, God created everything. Everything, everything, everything. All the animals that you could possibly think of, all the plants and the trees and the insects and the stars, literally anything you can think of, God created it. I think that is super cool. Number 2 is that when God saw everything that he made, he said, you know what, this is really good. And I think that's amazing because God created us, he created humans. So when God looks at me and when he looks at you, he says, you know what, them watching this, they're pretty great. I made them. I'm really proud of that. I think they're absolutely amazing. And point number 3 is that if God created all the things on the earth, then I think that means he's in control. And so I find that a really comforting thing, and I think it's something that can give us a lot of peace, knowing that if God created all the heavens and the earth and everything on it, then he's actually in control of it, and so we can have peace even when things feel a little bit out of control, that everything's getting all stressful and a bit scary. Well, we can say, no, I'm going to stop and I'm going to trust that God is in control, and so I'm going to feel peace, I'm going to feel calm because I know that my God is in control. I am going to say a prayer, so maybe you want to bow your head, close your eyes, whatever you feel comfortable doing, and you can just listen to me and maybe say amen at the end. Dear God, thank you that you have created everything on the earth. Thank you that you are in control of it all, and thank you that you look down on us and you say that you are pleased with us and that you think we are good. Thank you that you love and you care for us. Amen. Cool, well that is everything we've got time for today, Adventure Kids. I hope you have an amazing week and I'll see you next week. Bye!